Just 1 year into President Trump's first term, but at least one Republican is looking at 2020 as a chance to possibly run against him. Retiring Arizona Senator Jeff Flake saying he's contemplating entering the race, adding that he hopes President Trump faces a challenger or two in the GOP primaries.
It's not in my plans, but I've not ruled anything out. I do hope that somebody runs on the Republican side other than the president, if nothing else, simply to remind Republicans what conservatism is and what Republicans have traditionally stood for.
Let's bring in our panel. Brad Blakeman is former deputy assistant to President George W. Bush. Dave Brown is a Democratic strategist and former senior advisor to Washington Senator Patty Murray. Thank you to both of you for joining us. Dave, let me start with you. I mean, what I find somewhat amusing about this is that Jeff Flake has voted with President Trump 84% of the time. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what he's opposing.
I think it's a great point and really underscores that Senator Flake has been all talk but really no action when it comes to opposing the president. You know, he's still a sitting United States senator. If he wanted to grind the Senate to a halt day after day to oppose President Trump's agenda, he could do that. Instead, he's chosen to support almost every single one of the president's nominees, no matter how unqualified. He's failed to stand up to the president on immigration. And, you know, he gives a really good speech. But I think at the end of the day, Senator Flake needs to take action, and he's failed to do that.
Brad, you know, what I find amusing on both sides of the aisle is that it seems like there's this, I guess, rather clever game to poke the bear, to sit out there and, you know, do anything you can to try and inflame President Trump, and then hope he responds on Twitter or hope he calls you out by name and use that to get yourself attention. I mean, we see it from politicians, we see it from people writing books, we see it from comedians, and it seems to work spectacularly for getting yourself attention. Is that kind of what Jeff Flake's doing here, do you think?
Absolutely, but the president isn't taking the bait. As Dave properly pointed out, how do you go against the president when you voted for him 84% of the time and his policies you support? Your platform is, gee, he's not a nice guy. Well, guess what? Nice guys finish last, and Jeff Flake may be a nice guy, but he's not going to go anywhere against an incumbent president like President Trump, who has a record to run on, a record that Senator Flake supports.
Yeah. Dave, you know, who do you think would be an effective person to stand up against President Trump, as you put it? You say somebody's got to stand up against him. I mean, there's a lot of voters that don't agree with that because they support the president. But who, in your mind, could mount an effective challenge?
Well, sure. And first, let me say, I sincerely hope that Senator Flake does run. I suspect that all Democrats would be very pleased to see a crowded Republican primary field in 2020. But look, you know, I think for someone to be effective at competing with this president, who can sit back and send a tweet and capture an earned media news cycle, it's going to have to be someone who's as charismatic, who can command a bully pulpit, can frankly probably self-fund, because, and Brad might correct me here, but I imagine Republican donors are not going to be super supportive of a potential spoiler in the race.
Well, there's never-Trumpers. I mean, there's a lot of never-Trumpers out there, and they certainly raised money last time. Do you see that person, Dave, though? Are there any names, anybody out there that could be effective?
You know, at this point, I know Governor Kasich has expressed interest. We saw how well he did last cycle. Senator Rubio, you know, if he grows a backbone, I'd love to see him jump in the race.
Brad, what do you think? I mean, is there anyone on the Republican side that could pose a threat?
No, and I think the reason is that Trump has a record. Now, you may say, God, I wish he would have not done this. I wish he would have not done that. I'm talking about stylistically. But you can't argue with success. And if I was advising the president, I think that would be my mantra, is you can't argue with the record. And the economy's doing well. He's making inroads in foreign policy that people have thrown their hands up for decades and said it's impossible to deal with the North Koreans. It's impossible to put their feet to the fire in Iran. He's changing the dynamic and turning politics on his head, and he's having it with great success. I don't see any Republican having the wherewithal, both financially and ideologically, to challenge this president.
Dave, I've heard Democrats say the exact same thing, that is their concern, that you may hate his style, but he has a lot to point to in terms of results.
I have to respectfully disagree with that. Look, he's very good at being bombastic. He announced hastily a North Korean summit before he summarily canceled that summit, but apparently it's back on today.
Now. Yeah, now that looks like a smart move. He walked away from the table and he got, everybody snapping right back on his terms.
Is it a smart move, or is it just this news cycle and something else will happen tomorrow? I mean, look, I think anybody who read that book that he had ghostwritten for him, The Art of the Deal, knows that he thrives on being unpredictable and throwing, a hand grenade
but that's
into the
good.
mix.
That's a good thing.
Hang on, Brad, hang on. You talked about the Iran deal. First of all, we are completely alienated from all of our allies in Europe.
That's called leadership.
Brad, it's not leadership.
Yeah,
we are literally the only country that is no longer.
Sometimes you got to go it alone when
Brad,
you're standing on principle.
Brad, well, first of all, devil's in the details. Let's see actually what happens with the summit. I think as a former administration official in the George W. Bush administration, that President Bush, like President Obama, much more methodical, much more strategic in how they engage with
Can't
foreign
argue
powers.
with success here, though. That's the point.
There's no success to point to.
though, Brad. I mean, isn't that the point? Is that there have been many who have walked this road ahead of President Trump and were in the situation that we're in, and they did it the traditional way.
Right.
And now many Americans want to see someone just try something else. The definition of stupidity is doing it, or insanity, doing it the same way over and over and over again to the same bad result. Go ahead, Brad.
That's right. And sometimes it's a shame that your friends and allies don't see it because they're acting in their own selfish interest. And you have a president who comes in and changes the dynamic. The president's doing something that presidents should be doing all along, and that is acting in our interest first, putting America's interest first.
We're going to go. Spirited discussion. Thanks to you both. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.